to welcome to the Kelly Alexander Show dancer and choreographer Laurie Sposit, who of course was part of the All For You tour and so many others, dancing for Janet, Britney Spears, Celine Dion, Madonna, Beyonce, the list goes on and on. Laurie, thank you so much for spending time with us on the Kelly Alexander Show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This is incredible, really.
Well, this is like I said before we started recording, you've been on my list for a long time, and I cannot wait to find out about all the parts of you dancing with Janet. But I really want to take you back. First of all, how did Laurie get into dance?
So, I started a little later. I think I was maybe 11, which is still young, but, most people start really young. And I was in Ohio. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. And I started with one dance teacher, and I moved to another. Her name's Dee Hillier, and she was just fabulous. She took us to New York. She brought in choreographers, and she just gave us such a well-rounded situation. So yeah, I just danced my whole life there, and then I graduated high school and directly onto a cruise ship at 17. I was very homesick, but yeah, and then I moved to LA at 19. Started my career.
That's amazing. So would you say that the cruise line gave you your first big break? Like, what is your first big break as far as you consider?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in Ohio, I did like local types of things, little, trade shows and stuff. I danced at the mall and stuff like that. But yeah, then I guess the cruise ship I did for 6 months. And then I think it was really just when I came out to LA, I started taking dance classes and met some choreographers who, I kind of started working right away, which it was awesome, but I missed out a little bit on like the scholarship stuff. And, people really network and they get to know each other. But I made great friends. So I feel like my very first job was a Jody Watley video. It was like my first audition. So I didn't really have an agent either. So then, of course, they signed me when I got that job. And so, yeah, I guess, I don't know if it was a big break, but it kind of just gradually turned into starting to work, and it was awesome.
So after the Jody Watley video, did that then start to open more doors for you? Because I guess you were seen in that video. That was obviously on your resume. What was next after that?
Yeah, it was mostly choreographers. Marguerite Derricks, actually, I took her class a lot, and she worked a lot. So I ended up working for her on quite a few projects. So for me, it was more about like word of mouth, taking class, and then, choreographers get to know your name. And then when you go to the audition, because that to me is one of the saddest parts of auditions, because unless you kind of know someone or they know to look at you, you might get missed. There's a huge group of people, and, you could be amazing, but sometimes, you get lost in the crowd. So I think I was fortunate enough to at least have people give me a shot and look at me and then say no, or look at me and then go, okay, great, we'll hire you. So yeah, I think it was mostly that, just being able to start working because I was taking classes a lot.
When you moved to Los Angeles, were you homesick, and were your parents supportive of you making the move?
Oh yeah, I'm such a codependent little lover girl. It was like all my family, and I was, it was a big move, and I was very courageous, and I give myself credit for that. But they were so supportive. In fact, I had a scholarship to go to Point Park University, so I had a little bit of a dance scholarship there. And then it was actually Michelle Asoff, she's a choreographer out of New York, was having auditions for the cruise ship. So I auditioned for that, and I got it. And so they were like, well, okay, they really, I was expecting, no, you have to go to college. And they were like, no, this is a chance of a lifetime. You can go to college whenever you want. And so they were super supportive, and they flew out to LA all the time to see my shows. My mom came to a million concerts. So yeah, they're very involved.
That's so awesome. And I wanted to ask you too, like, Laurie, how would you categorize yourself as a dancer? Like, was it contemporary that you came up through? Like, how would you, characterize yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it was the 90s when I was in LA. So it's funny because it was a little bit before like hip hop really hit. So I was mostly a very, very much a jazz dancer. So I was never a ballerina. I just wasn't that good at it, but I had a very strong upbringing, and I took all my ballet classes, a little bit of tap. Mostly it was jazz. And then, so like we called it lyrical jazz back in the day, and funky jazz or street jazz. So that was mostly my forte. And then I started, like, when hip hop came, up, and I kind of was like, well, I better get to know this. And so I started taking hip hop classes. And I did, I actually booked a few things where, I ended up being I guess you would call it the token white girl at that time. I don't know if that's okay to say, but I, literally on some of the shows I did American Music Awards and stuff like that with Brandy, and it was so great. I was like, oh, this is a whole new genre. And so I got into that afterwards.
When you were growing up, because you know how like kids who want to play basketball, they might know of like LeBron James, like, so that's like who they want to be, or even like know the coaches and all that stuff because they're so immersed in it. Did you have dancers and choreographers that you looked up to even all the way back in Ohio?
Yes. It's so funny. Well, first, you know, Michelle Johnston, she was, in a chorus line, and Laura Dunlop was in the Sting video. So there were like these two women, and my good friend Sybil Azer, she was also in the Sting video, who I didn't know at the time, but they did that choreography in the chair, the three chairs at the end of the video, Together Tonight, I think it's called. Anyway, there were people like that I would see in videos. And also, I mean, Janet herself, it's like I watched all those videos and looked behind me trying to learn the choreography and, on the VHS tape. But yeah, there were like a couple of those people and I didn't know very many people out here, but just from watching videos, I was like, oh, wow, we're movies. And then when I moved out here and I got to meet them and see them in class, I was like, oh my God, these are my people. You guys inspired me. So
That's really cool. Now I interviewed Nick, a couple of times on the show, and he always talks about how when he was a kid, like, he saw like Janet, and that kind of inspired him so much to sort of head where he was heading. When did Janet become in your consciousness?
oh gosh, I mean, I guess I was probably 13, 14, something. I mean, when she was doing Pleasure Principle, like those were the videos I learned, like Pleasure Principle. I knew that all the choreography, Miss You Much, Nasty, I literally learned them by standing in front and just watching. So I think, yeah, I was young. And I mean, I was also a huge Michael fan. So I don't think my parents still have it, but I had, all the torn out pieces and the posters all over my room though. I was that girl, and I wanted a jacket that my dad didn't let me get, and I've never forgiven him, but I have. So yeah, it was very much like it was a lot of the Michael thing. And then when Janet came out and was dancing, I was like, are you kidding me? So it was early on. She's always been my kind of icon, if you will.
That's amazing. Now, I read in your notes that you were actually on Madonna's Girly Show tour, which is like bananas to me. And because I think that's amazing. So how did you, was that the first big tour for you in 93, or did you have another one before that?
Well, that one I was a stand-in, or I guess you would say I didn't actually go on tour or have to. I learned the whole show.
Okay.
So I did, and then it was kind of the best of both worlds. I didn't have to shave my head. And I was on retainer, so I did get paid while they were out on tour. And thankfully for all the people on tour, it never happened where I had to, replace someone. So that was kind of my experience. And I got to work with her a couple times, so I assisted on a video. And so, Madonna was a big part actually of my career as well.
What is the difference? What's the main difference between working with Madonna versus working with Janet?
Oh, wow. Good question. I mean, Madonna, back then, of course, that's all I knew of her. She, to me, the impression was just, she was a badass. Like, she was just so good at what she did. She expected, in fact, I do have a funny story. When we were at the soundstage, I think I don't know if it was Sony or one of those places. They had the stage set up, and myself and the other stand-in, the guy, we were down on, the floor, just kind of learning all the stuff. And she was like, hey, you guys know what you're doing? She's like, Laurie, could you get up here and do it? And I was like, I think so. Like, I was so taken aback. And she was like, well, you better be able to. That's what you're hired for. Like, she just kind of called it like it was. And I was like, well, good for her. Cause she's like, what do you mean maybe? just expected a lot, and I think she was just very good and just wanted to be, everyone to be professional. With Janet, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but I'm like, Janet was just everything you've ever wanted her to be. I mean, she's so good at what she does. And the difference, I mean, because I didn't work as closely with Madonna, so working with Janet, she had such a love for us, and she treated us so well. And she, just was a part of our lives in a way, so it was just good, and it felt great, and you felt seen and respected, and she just was amazing at what she did. Her dancing, her singing, her body, her work ethic. So all of that was just over the top for me.
That's, it's so funny because to a person, any dancer that I've interviewed about Janet has basically said what you've said, which is like that. So, like she's truly the genuine person that we all like think she is. So that's amazing.
True. And what a relief, right? Because it would be the worst if you're like, oh, well. I mean, you could honestly all just be like, she's amazing and she's great to us.
I actually remember when I spoke to Kelly Kono, this was several years ago. She talked about how, because I think Janet was her first big gig, like when she got the Janet tour, especially after she got the spot when Jennifer Lopez decided to bow out. And so she started with Janet basically. And she happened to mention that, when the next project came along and she was on with another artist, it was like a huge wake up call for her because they just weren't treated the same. And so she's even had more of a respect for Janet. Is that something you would have sort of realized too?
Well, it's so interesting because mine is almost the opposite. I had most of my career before I booked Janet. So I had done, I worked a lot. I was super fortunate to have worked so much. And I was 29 when I got that tour. And I was kind of like, great, my career is done. I can finally say that I've done everything I've wanted. And, so I worked with her, I guess, over the course of 5 years, because it was the tour for a couple. Then we did some stuff, just spot dates and Demita Joe stuff and all that. So in a way, that was kind of like the end of my career. So it was almost like everything built up to having the best job ever, So it's like I had all of these wonderful artists, but you don't get to meet, or I didn't tour. Like I toured with Paulina Rubio, but like we weren't hanging out and all of that. So it was kind of like I had little spots and this and that with people. And then it was like, and I get to end in a way. And I didn't totally end my career then, but it was like, I was older. I consider myself older at the time because, you don't dance forever. But so, yeah, I think for me, it was more like the cherry on top. And it made me feel like even more grateful that I got to kind of go that route.
That's so cool. Now, I wanted to ask you too, how did the Janet like situation come your way? Like, did you have to audition? Was it that you knew somebody and they helped sort of like, I'm assuming you still had to audition anyways, but I'm just wondering how it all went down for you.
Yeah, that's a funny story too. So my memory is not that great anymore, or ever was, but I feel like I may or may not have auditioned for the Velvet Rope tour. I feel like I did, and I made it kind of to the end, and then, okay, that didn't work out. So then when this one came up, it was just a call, everybody knew about it. And oh my gosh, I was sitting here. I was like, okay, I got ready. I'm like, of course I'll go, and I was eating cereal. I used to love Lucky Charms. So I was like sitting there eating cereal, and I was like, gosh darn it, I don't know if I want to go. It's going to be crazy. And I thought, maybe not. Oh, I'm never going to get it. I'm not going to go. And I seriously almost didn't go. So then I drive there. I'm like, well, let me see. The lines around the block. There's so many people there. I park and I just kind of go up to see what's going on. And it was actually Kelly Kono's sister that was at front, kind of handing out numbers. And I said, oh, how's it working and stuff? And I kind of knew her, we had known each other. And she's like, oh, we're handing out, this and that. She goes, well, here, just take, it was number 125. It was either 124 or 125, but they were taking 125 people at a time. So I got into that first group. And I thought, oh my God, had I not, and I looked at the line, I thought I would have just left. So I did get in, and then I just started the whole audition process and, made it to each cut and to the end. And I'll never forget, because Gil, I knew him from years ago on conventions when he was only like 14, 15 years old. I was in Hawaii and he was one of the dancers. And I thought, oh my God, you're just incredible. You need to move to LA, the whole thing. And then he did, and he got the Velvet Rope Tour at like, I think it was 17 or 18 or
I think
something.
so, yeah, yeah.
But like, how funny how everything comes full circle. So I was teaching him as a teacher on a convention, and now all of a sudden he's behind the table hiring, a part of the hiring process for me. So yeah, that's how that happened. But I didn't know I got the tour right away. That was just the video first.
Okay. Okay. And so can you talk to us then, like you said, so you get the number from Dory, I'm assuming it was Dory, and then in you go. And so it was Gil, who else was in the audition? Was Shawnette there? Like,
Annette was there, Gil. I mean, Janet didn't come till the end. I think Kelly was behind the desk. I don't know. I think those were the main people because because Shawnette and, well, maybe Marty was there. It was whoever was going to choreograph, because that was first for the video, and then that's a whole other thing after we got the video, how I got it. But yeah, I think those were the people that were behind the desk, kind of running the audition.
and what did it feel like? Because if there was like, were you in like massive groups of 20 kind of going through like those first initial audition rounds?
Yeah, it started out, bigger groups, and then you would get a call back. And again, I can't remember the exact time frame, but we came back another day. So then once it got whittled down to smaller groups, and because it was huge, it's like, and that's what's so great about Janet and her whole team and crew. They do see so many people, and I felt like this is my one shot, because a lot, I guess a bit of my own insecurity, but a part of the industry was I wasn't your classic, like tall, beautiful, long hair, whatever dancer. I usually got, I'm a little shorter. I was more of a powerhouse with short hair, so I would dance with the guys, or I would be put with the other girls who were a little more. So I was like, oh, they want the pretty girls for all the stuff. And, so the Janet hires all types of people. And that's what made me feel so much, I guess, more confident or excited about going, because I thought, well, I don't know, maybe she wants a short hair girl, or I don't know. So, and then where was I going with that?
How those initial groups. Yep.
Then we got down tiny groups, and then that's when Janet came. And so then by the end, we didn't know who got anything. And then I actually flew, I think, to Florida to visit my parents. They were there, and I got a call that was like, oh, they want you for the video. So then I had to fly back, of course. And then after doing the video, it was during that time that then they kind of pulled me aside and were like, so would you like to go on tour with us? And I was like, I mean, I just thought it was a dream. I really was like, you've got to be kidding me.
That's so awesome. Now, before we get to the tour, can you tell us about the video? Because what was that like being a part of that?
Yeah, it was super cool. I mean, videos are hard because they're long hours, and I'll never forget, we actually got paid probably a lot of money because we stayed there for so long. It was almost like, so hurry up and wait. I think we were there like 20 some hours the one day, and the big dance scene, like the big dance break or whatever, I think was filmed at like 4 a.m. It was something where we all had sleep and passed out in our trailers or something, and they're like, okay, we're ready for you. And it was like, okay, and stretch out and do whatever we do. And then we're like, doing the breakdown. So that was a little difficult, but it was, I mean, it's super fun. You're on set, it's being creative, you're doing this great choreography. It was very cool.
Who actually told you that you got the interview? Or sorry, I should say the video. Was it Shawnette? Was it Gil? Like, who gave you the news that you were getting it?
I think that was my agent. I have a feeling my agent called and said, they want you for the video. So then I flew back.
That's amazing. And what was it like when Janet walked in through the room for the first time, actually A, in the audition, and then B, when you guys actually started working together?
I mean, she's just the cutest little thing, because, how she walks, it's very cute. She was just very bright, her energy is just lovely. During the video, again, like, she's just such a professional, I watch her dance and I'm like, really, you're that good? It's like, this is our career, and you're like the superstar singer, and you're that good at the dance too. So yeah, it was just great. She has a beautiful energy about her. And what was the second part of the question?
And then when you guys actually started the rehearsal for the video.
Oh yeah, same thing. I mean, rehearsals were great. She was always just, she rehearsed just as much as we did. It wasn't like she didn't run things or she was off, just sitting around. She was always up doing her stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you guys feel like a family pretty quickly on, like when you sort of knew who was going to go on tour?
Um, I guess so. Like, I feel like because Allison didn't join till just a tiny bit later, but she started, I think, as the backup or something. But so I wasn't, I mean, she was around but then of course we all were together. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know why our group, because of course I don't know. I mean, everyone on the Janet and then the Velvet Rope tour, like they've been together for a while.
Yeah.
So it was our first tour together. So it was quite a few new people. Of course, Kelly was a veteran, she knew everything, and Gil was there and Shawnette. But the rest of us, I feel like we were kind of like innocent little, like, this is our tour, I mean, it felt very fun, actually. It was very kind of cute and innocent. And we didn't really have any baggage. Or it didn't feel like to me. We just were like, look at us. We have the best job in the world. So there was nothing to be like mad about. I don't know, and I mean, I fell in love with everybody. Jenna was like my little sister because I was quite a bit older than her. And Nick and Kevin became like my buddies. I was like, I just love them so much. And everybody, we had a great time.
You guys had a really good vibe, because I know, like, for like huge Janet fans such as myself, and I know other Janet fans that are watching, knowing that there had been like the four girls for so long, like Sean, Kelly, Nikki, Tina, Janet, like, all five of them together for the Janet tour and the Velvet Rope tour. It could have been difficult, let's say, for some of fans thinking that, some of them weren't involved. Like, Tina had gone off and done her thing, and Nikki as well. But like, I felt like we all embraced you guys really quickly. And I think it's because, like you said, you guys had such a great vibe. And I remember, like, it's funny, you really stuck out to me on that tour. Like, and especially in the You Ain't Right, when you and Kelly would dance with Janet, like, what was that experience getting to do that song in particular? Because you guys really got to stand out there.
Oh my gosh, it really, and thank you for saying that, because those are some big shoes to fill, with new dancers coming in and knowing that like the fans love the kids and all of these things and the family that they created. And they were all so incredible that you go, uh-oh, I hope they like us too. So thank you for that. It was really great to just be embraced. And look at me, brain fart again. What did you
What was it like to do the You Ain't Right with Kelly and Janet?
This is hysterical. So that to me was definitely a highlight. I thought, oh my gosh, again, because as dancers, your whole career is like your background, you kind of get lost. You might see a hand go by. You're like, oh, mom, I got this. And they're like, where are you? I was like, I swear I worked on it for months. So to be able to just be the three of us was like the coolest thing. And, it was hard. Because we did 3 in a row. So it started with, well, I don't even remember, but it went into, so it was 3 songs in a row that we didn't get a break in the show. So it was hard. And I just thought, is this really my life? I was like, there she is right there. Here we are, the 3 of us. And that's not easy. I mean, it took me a minute to learn that choreography. In fact, when you asked about what type of dancer I was, getting this job was a true challenge, because it was like Marty and Tavares and stuff like that type of choreography I wasn't so used to. So I was like, ooh, I got to like really get this in my body. And it took me a little longer to learn it. And I'm usually a fast learner. So it was a good challenge for me. I loved it.
Well, you killed it. Like, you killed it. You totally did. And because I was watching that segment last night with You Ain't Right, and like, yeah, you and Kel just killed it. Like, the 3 of you with Janet, like, absolutely killed it. So I wanted to ask you too about the choreography and having Kelly there and Shawnette at the beginning. Obviously that's like, I would say, and Gil obviously too, like that would be a huge leg up, knowing that they had just come off the Velvet Rope tour, and knowing that they knew like the big songs so well, like Rhythm Nation, Miss You Much, like all that stuff. What was it like for you to pick up the choreography of those songs?
It was hard. I am not going to lie. It was really tricky. And this is why Janet is known, and her tours and her videos and her choreography is just known for being so great and tight. And people, you know, whoever does the choreography, it's like you are on it and it's clean. And we had it drilled. I mean, we did it, I think, two at a time. We did Rhythm Nation two at a time, like in front of Janet and, you know, whoever was there. It was Shawnette or Gil or whoever. And boy, was that scary. Cause, you know, you're like, am I doing it right? Am I, you know, and then you would get notes and they would show you what to do and how, whatever. So learning that stuff was pretty, you know, intimidating because it is kind of iconic choreography, and it's a little hard. I mean, it's just difficult, but that's what makes them so great is it's like, no, you're going to get this right. So we're all going to look amazing on stage.
I know Tina wasn't there for that project, but was her aura looming?
Everywhere. I mean, Tina, you know, she's also just such a legend and a part of this, you know, of dance in general and choreography, but of the whole Janet legacy. And I actually did work with Tina a bit outside of Janet. I think it was I don't know what show it was. There was some show where it was a bunch of like artists who were, you know, I don't even know how to say it, but I worked with her. It was a great show, and I forget the name of it. That's how old I am. So the thing is with Tina, she's just, again, that's why Janet was like that too. I mean, maybe they just fed off of each other, but Tina is just such a consummate professional, and she's good at what she does, and she expects the best out of everybody. So you're like, oh, I know I'm going to look good because she's going to make me look good. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, out of all the like the big songs like Rhythm Nation, Miss You Much, If, like Escapade, even like obviously All For You was new, but you guys learned that. What was the toughest piece of choreography to learn, and which one do you love the most still?
The toughest one to learn, I mean, it may have been Rhythm Nation for me. I think just because I wanted it to be so perfect. Like I was so, you know, not hard on myself, but I was like, no, they expect this to be so perfect. So I think that might have been my most challenging. And then my favorite or most memorable, I loved If. I thought that was just so, and actually our little nasty medley, that was super fun to me too on that tour. The way they put it together. It was just, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of this empowerment, or I mean, I guess the girls are in charge for those. Maybe that's why I liked it so much. So yeah.
That's cool. I wanted to ask you too, because you mentioned that you may or may not have tried out for Velvet Rope Tour. Did you go see Janet in concert? Like, let's say for the Rhythm Nation tour, or the Janet tour, like, did you go?
I remember, and I feel like I was still living in Ohio. So I don't know exactly the time frame or when she did. What was her first concert? Was it
Rhythm
Janet
Nation?
or was it Rhythm Nation?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
I think I saw her first concert in Cleveland.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was on the side of the stage, but not far from her. And I'll never forget Black Cat. That song, and she had her black jeans on and stuff. And I was like, who is she? This is incredible. It was like such a powerful song. It was like rock and roll. So yeah, I think that was my first concert that I saw her. But I don't know if I saw in person any of the other ones. And then up until All For You, then I was in it.
What did it feel like? Did you have some kind of full circle moment in your head, knowing that like you had seen her with Rhythm Nation, then when you actually stepped on stage for the first concert for All For You? Like, was it, what did you feel like that first time, Laurie, when you obviously you've been in rehearsal forever, but that first concert of All For You, like, how did that feel?
I mean, out of body, you know, it's I do get nervous. That's why there's a part of me that I was like, I don't know if I miss performing that much because I was always so nervous because I wanted to always get it right, you know, like, so I do remember just thinking, being so grateful, first of all, like I couldn't even believe my whole life. It's like I've danced, I've had jobs, I've had a great career. And then I finally, I mean, it just, there's so many people that would love to do that. And I wish everyone could. But it was like, and I truly feel like I was the one person. They only really hired one. And then I think like Allison, but like Jenna, I think kind of already had it because she did the job, the video. And so for the actual tour, they really just needed one girl. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's me? It just, and I don't even know what to say. It really feels like a dream. And now I'm like, gosh, it was so long ago. But thinking about being on stage, you know, I remember more the last show than I do the first.
Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was just, you know, I think because we had the show so in your body after that long that we could just have fun on stage. And, you know, that song that it closes with, it's just like, you know, the meaning of it. And just, you know, we all went up and hugged her at the end. It was in Hawaii. It was such just a beautiful experience. And I thought, you know, it's weird because everyone says like this too shall pass for kind of bad or negative things. Well, it's the same for good stuff too, which is bittersweet because I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, I don't want it to end and everything passes. You know, this too shall pass. And it was wonderful. I really, yeah, I would do it all over again.
Amazing. I wanted to ask you too, because you guys were on the tour when 9/11 happened.
Yes.
And I actually, it's interesting, even though I've interviewed Nick before and Kelly like several times, we've never actually had that discussion. So you're my first discussion about that. I think you were supposed to have a show that night, if memory serves. So can you tell us like, yeah, what happened? What was Janet's vibe? And then I actually have a follow-up, but those will be the first two.
Um, oh, it was terrible. So we were in Daytona Beach, I believe. Um, and you know, it was Kevin Wilson that called my room. So we were sleeping and he called and was like, turn on the TV. And I turned it on and it was all happening. So it was just awful. It was really somber. I remember we went out and like walked on the beach a little bit. Everyone was like, what are we doing? What are we going to do? And then we went into New Orleans, actually. I don't know, just soon after that, but we weren't doing shows. We were like, okay, well, let's go to our next venue. Just, you know, we canceled the show. We went to the next venue. And actually we went to one of the churches there. What was this? Is it Jackson Square that's in New Orleans?
Oh yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there were a few of us that went. It was just literally people coming together because it was so overwhelming. And it was a really sad yet gorgeous way to kind of mourn together. And then from there, yeah, I mean, I felt so upset too, because I thought, wow, that one incident obviously had a ripple effect through everything, you know. And in my tiny little world, it meant that we were no longer going to go to Europe. We had to cancel a lot of our European tour, which thank God we had done like promo tour there. But really, we would have toured so much more. I would have, you know, we all would have done so many more shows and been so many more places, but that all got canceled. So I don't really remember. I mean, Janet, I don't know if we really were together with her that much. I think it was all logistical kind of stuff. So I don't really have a memory of all of us or what she was going through or anything.
Mhm. Did anybody from the team though have like a specific chat with all of you guys saying like, okay, we've made the decision, we're not going to Europe? Because I remember reading a quote, I don't know if it's actually true or not, but her saying something to the effect, and this is the quote that I've seen, but again, who knows if it's accurate, something to the effect of like, she didn't want to cancel her European, shows, but she couldn't live with herself if something happened to her team.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I don't remember exactly having the meeting or who said it. I think Jaime Mendoza was our tour manager at the time. But for sure, it's almost like, you know, no one would want anything to happen. And thank God, you know, she and her team and whoever were like, well, of course, we're not going to put anyone in danger. You know, as sad as it was, it's like they obviously made the right call.
Mhm. Amazing. So I wanted to ask you too, when it comes to the costumes for the All For You tour, like they were sick. Like there were some really cool costumes. And I remember talking to Tina Landon about velvet rope costumes. And obviously she had a big say in making sure things fit properly so that, all the dancers could do the movements correctly. Did you, and she even mentioned that there was a couple of things that didn't work when they were, prepping for velvet rope. And so they switched them out. When you guys came out for Trust to Try with those crazy, like,
Oh, yeah.
how did that go? And were they the most difficult costumes to have on just because they looked really intricate and it looked hard to do your movements?
Well, you are spot on. I mean, how did you know that was the one costume that when we first started, I was like, because that choreography I loved so much. And as a dancer, that happens. You're in rehearsal and you're killing it and you love it. And you're like, oh my God, I'm amazing. This is amazing. It's going to be, and then they're like, oh, here, put on like 18 balloons and like stilts and do the same thing. And you're like, well, now I can't do it. So, of course, they're all so awesome. The team was great about making things work, but their vision at first, like I had that big headpiece on that had all the lips on it. Super cool. But when they first made it, I was like, I was kind of falling all over. And I was like, oh, my neck hurts, because it was very heavy. So they had to take a bunch of stuff out, and then they made like a cage or something for it. So it was a lot lighter. But that, and then like the boots, there were certain boots that they had a little heel on them, and they, we modified as we went, because we would put them on and be like, this is awful, it hurts. So then we went to chunkier boots and lower boots or whatever, but trying not to compromise the actual outfit. So that was a tricky costume, I'm not gonna lie. And then my other one was Miss You Much, because I was like, ooh, we get to do this, and I love the choreography and it's great. And they're like, here's a parrot. I had to dance with a parrot on my hand. So then I had to do all the choreography. So in fact, I think it was on the left. So it was like boom, boom, ba, 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 ba. And I was like, I had to like make the parrot talk. And I thought, well, how am I supposed to do the choreography? So I had to, talk about funny stories. It's like those two costumes were probably the hardest.
Oh, wow. And what did you guys feel like? Cause like, again, coming from Velvet Rope, knowing that was the big tour before you with, the opening book, and like they came out right away hard with like, all the suits on and like all that kind of stuff. And then when you guys came out for All For You, you came down those pillars, and it was just more like Latin flavor kind of thing going on, and just super funky. How did you feel about that opening? Because it looks so cool for you guys to come down those pillars. Was it scary being up that high?
Well, thank goodness I didn't have to be up there. I was myself and someone else. We came, so I guess it was 6 people that came down, and then 2 of us came from the wings.
Okay.
I was like, ha, see you guys. And I just got to walk on out. So I didn't actually go up there, but those costumes also were so beautiful, and it was very bright, or like, the white, it was clean. And I love that whole opening. I thought it was, and the kabuki that was drawn and stuff, that was, it felt just fun and good. It was a little more lighthearted. I feel like Velvet Rope had a lot of like yummy, like grit and sexual stuff. It felt very cool. And a good part of ours was like upbeat, it was just like a little bit more, I don't know, just different, genres, types, styles.
And it felt like you guys too, also just with the way the stage was laid out for your tour, it just felt there was like space to move, space to breathe, space to have fun.
Which also was so cool. It's like the costumes are always one thing that can be a hindrance. And then there's usually like the stage, the props and all these things, which are, with us, it was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? We get to like really be dancers. We weren't hindered that much. Even with the costumes, it's like it worked, they worked it out, and then it was fine. And having all that space, you were like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like, it was really great.
Did you have a specific song on or choreography on that tour that like that was like that's your jam? Like looking back now, like that was your favorite one to dance to come out to, and the costumes, like all that stuff?
I think again, it was If, and then the Nasty medley. I think those two, that was like I felt most comfortable, because it was just like hot, sexy, like just whatever. It was, that felt to me like the coolest choreography, and even the costumes, like the one I was like in jeans, with like a little bustier. It was like, okay, this is cool. It's like my regular clothing.
When you were on stage, looking out over the crowd, did you feel like, we talked earlier just about, again, the other ladies and you guys now taking over, did you feel embraced pretty quickly, Laurie? Like, were people calling out your name and all that kind of stuff? Because I feel like, again, we did embrace you. I'm hoping that's how it felt for you guys.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think the crowd and the audience itself just felt loving. Everyone was just like, yay, we've got another concert. I didn't particularly feel like I had any fans, and maybe there were or not, but I feel like it was just a general kind of love for us. So yeah, a little couple times it would be like, oh, Laurie or something. But I think Jenna had the most. um, but yeah, I mean, it did feel good. And of course, Kelly, you know, she's been around, so everybody knew Kelly. So I mean, and I won't lie, it was a little intimidating. It was like, oh, I'm one of the new girls and I'm not sure they really like me, but I was like, I'll just do my best and dance my heart out and see what happens.
Well, I love you. So I'm super happy you were on that tour. Did you, are you still in contact with some of the All For You dancers today? Like, are you still buds?
Yeah, you know, it's not for a while afterwards. We were. I mean, it was like hanging out all the time, seeing each other and all that. And then little by little, you know, it's like we have our own work. And then I, you know, ended up getting married and things happen. And I don't know, we just, we'll text. Like Nick had a show that he and his, you know, and RJ had worked on, his partner. And I texted him. I was like, oh my God, you made me cry. I love this. It's amazing. So like we'll throw texts out and happy birthdays and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, we love each other. I mean, I'm sure we'll see each other again, but it was like a 10 years. We were like, oh, hi, how you doing? We'd hang out and do things. And then little by little, it just, although we did see each other at the Hollywood Bowl and that was incredible. So
Which I have to ask you about. So tell us, because I always find it fascinating how everybody got the news and how it felt. So who called you and how did it all go down for you, Laurie?
oh my God. Okay. So I do remember this so distinctly because I got the call from Jaime Mendoza and it was so wild because I thought, first of all, I'm like, why are they calling? And he said, well, hi, Laurie. You know, he's very professional. He's like, we were just looking at doing this, you know, at the Hollywood Bowl and having all the tour dancers come back. And, you know, we wanted to ask if you would come join. And I thought, what are you talking about? I was like, I think I was 45 at the time because this was what, 5, 6 years ago or something. I don't know. And I thought, I don't know if I can move like that anymore. I was so nervous. And I thought, well, I guess so. And, you know, he didn't give me a lot of information. And so as soon as we hung up, I said, well, sure, let me know what's going on. And then I was like texting Nick and Kevin. I was like, so what's going on? And I don't know I don't know who got the calls when, but a couple people didn't know yet. And they were like, well, maybe they're not going to ask me. And I was like, no, I think it's everyone, you know? And so of course it ended up being everyone. And they were like, don't worry, we're going to have rehearsals. Cause I thought, am I going to just have to watch the video and relearn Rhythm Nation? Cause you know, my brain is not what I hope it would be. And it just erases. Like after I just move on. Like it just goes out. So then, yes. And then it was very cool. Everybody was like, oh my God, we're doing this. Oh my God, really? And I was a nervous wreck up until the time I got off stage.
And so talk to us about the rehearsal because, and I'll preface it by saying, like, I've spoken again to different people who, you know, went to the rehearsal and just like that, there was laughter, there was tears, there was the whole thing. So what was it like for you to see your All For You peeps, also seeing like Tina Landon and other people that had been there before you, and then the young ones coming up behind? Like, just explain that experience for you.
Well, again, it's like a dream. I was like, is this really my life? I don't want it to ever end. It was really a fun experience. Like you know, we took pictures and we've got the groups and everybody. And I thought, wow, just generations of all of Janet's family and her kids and her dancers. So that was incredible. And we hadn't really met a lot of because the kids that were on tour with her at the moment weren't in that number with us. So they weren't at rehearsal. So it was just all of us, which I guess I guess some Jamita Joe, no, because they didn't tour. So I guess All For You was like the last tour. And so we were like basically the newest ones, if you would say. And having everybody there was just incredible. I mean, rehearsal was fun. Of course, then, you know, it started to be like, okay, let's really work this out so we don't look stupid up there. Because, you know, a lot of us, I mean, even in rehearsal, I was like, I'm going to save myself for the knee part. I'm going to do the show. Because I was like, if I hurt myself before we get there, that's not good. So it was a ton of love and laughter. And yeah, I have some great pictures from that and getting to the venue. And that was the first time I think Janet's baby was there. Like you know, she had him, oh my gosh, what is her baby?
Lisa, a little boy.
little boy out in the audience with this, the earphones on and stuff, headphones. And it was like, I don't know, it just felt like, wow, this is magic. Like, this is so cool for all of us to, who gets to do that? I was like, it's been 17 years or something since I've danced with Janet. And then to have it come back around, I was like, I never in a million years thought I would do anything with her again. Like, as far as that capacity, I was like, okay, I'm not like dancing professionally anymore. And there I was hurting.
That's so that's so incredible. And talk to us about the moment you saw Janet again. Like, what was it like when you got to give her a hug and all that sort of good stuff?
Cool. So she had the night, I don't know if it was the night before, but she had a gathering at this hotel. So she had set up like up on the rooftop. They had some food and drinks just so we could all hang out again. And I was like, are you kidding me? You're like the thoughtfulness that goes into it. So we all got together and there she was. And it was just amazing. We did little photos of each tour, like with her, all the dancers from each one. She was just great. She's like, wow, here we are. She was just embracing. And then even afterwards, we had the party and I saw her at whatever venue we were at. And, my husband was with me. So I was like, oh, of course, I want to introduce you to my husband. And she like sat there and chatted with us for a bit. And I was like, wow, you're just as amazing as you always have been.
That's incredible. This like warms my heart so much just to know like her and her team and that, it's important for her to speak to everybody and have everybody back. And I wanted to ask your opinion on this too. Out of all the other artists that you have danced with, which is many people, like many, Beyonce, like Spice Girls, Madonna, we talked like all of them. Do you think any other artist would have ever done this and could have pulled this off to have like a reunion of all the dancers?
I mean, it doesn't seem like it. I don't want to say they couldn't, but I mean, nobody really has. So I guess it's safe to say that like maybe they could, but she's the only one that really did it. I mean, unless I don't know of someone else, because and most of the artists I've worked with, they're all great. And sure, are there little things and isms and whatever stuff that goes on. But, Janet was the only one. Her team was like, nope, we're going to pull it off. And they got people really from such, from each extreme. It's like all the way back to, right? Yeah, Rhythm Nation tour and all of that. And it's like to pull that off. And it's testament to how much we love her. It's like everybody showed up, I mean, I know some people couldn't, and that's just what it is. But, everybody was like, it's her, it's Janet. Of course, we're going to show up.
What does it feel like, Laurie, knowing that you are a Janet dancer forever?
It feels overwhelming, or it doesn't, I mean, not overwhelming in a bad way. It feels surreal because I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's like, again, it was like a dream. So I feel like, wow, it is over. And I know that's always a part of my history, but it's also, like, this is why I think it's so cool to do this today, because I haven't really revisited, little bits here and there, but it's so cool to just think about all of the memories again and really feel grateful and acknowledge that I was a part of that history, a part of being, her friend, so to speak, on some level. And the way, we got to she took us to Anguilla, for God's sakes, she took us on trips and we got to hang out and actually be with her, not just dance for her. So I think that is why most dancers were always like, I want to dance for Janet, because you're not just dancing for her, you're like a part of her family. So it's yeah, it's weird because it feels so surreal and I know it's real, but I'm like, wow, it's pretty special. Very special.
And does it feel different too, knowing, because again, some of the other dancers have mentioned this, that it's like you're a part of a fraternity or a sorority that not everybody gets to be a part of, but once you're in, you're in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's not like it can be taken away from you. So it does. It feels pretty special because that that's, again, something not everyone gets to do. And so, you kind of walk around, with a feeling of satisfaction. There is something where I'm like, wow, that really happened for me. And I just never would have thought that would have happened. So it's, yeah, it's really special.
I wanted to ask you too, is there anything that sticks out from the tour, like a funny story? Like I know Tina talked about how one time she got twisted around and basically catapulted herself across I think it was the Velvet Rope tour. And she talked about how like Shawnette and everybody like had to stop themselves from, no, I might've been the Janet tour actually. So was there anything crazy that happened with you guys on stage or behind the scenes that you'd like to share with the fans?
Well, the one thing for me was when we were in Cleveland doing the show. So of course I had a lot of people. So all my family came. And again, like I've said, one of my favorite numbers or parts, because it was the medley, the nasty medley. And sure enough, I go out and doing our number and my bustier snapped.
Oh,
Right. Yeah. So it busted open. I had to leave stage and our wardrobe, I think her name was Bonnie. Yeah. She was back there and she sewed me up really quick, but I literally missed dancing my favorite number that I felt the best at, and doing. And it was like, oh, thanks for coming everybody. But I didn't even get to do that part. And then I came to the end. So that was mine. And I do think, I feel like Kevin fell off the stairs one time. Like we were watching, because we would watch the video in the bus, like going to the next city, and I feel like we laughed so hard because it was during well, I don't even know, I don't know what number, but it was coming down the stairs and he just literally, it was like whoop 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 whoop, and he was like gone. We were like, Kevin, what happened? You just fell off the stairs. So yeah, those were funny moments. I mean, we had some good times on stage.
that's awesome. And I wanted to ask you just a couple more questions. First of all, as we are recording this, it is Janet's birthday, which is crazy. What message would you like to give to Janet?
Oh, well, first of all, happy birthday. I just am so grateful for her life, for her entertainment, for everything she's given to the world. I mean, she's broken barriers. She's done so much, and just personally for changing my life. I mean, seriously, it is so cliche to say, but it changed my life. I mean, the trajectory of my life just kind of went in a whole different way because I was exposed to this world and her professionalism, her love, her kindness, touring, seeing the world. So it's like, Janet, you are just a gem. I mean, I would say you are, please take the time to acknowledge your unbelievable talent and generosity and just amazingness, because we forget to take that in ourselves. So I always try to remind people, you're alive, you've done a million things with your life, you're healthy, you're happy, all these things. It's like, don't forget to acknowledge how awesome you are.
And I wanted to say, I want to give you the opportunity, but I want to say first to you, like on behalf of the fans, like, I just want to thank you for, being a part of the All For You tour. And now like you're part of our family for life. Cause if you're a Janet fan, like we embrace all the dancers for life. That's just how it is. And I know for myself personally, and I'm sure I speak for many, like you were just part of the magic of the All For You tour. And I think like so many of us that had been like hardcore Janet fans didn't know if we could embrace new dancers coming off Janet and Velvet Rope, but you guys stepped in and you had a brightness and a light to you and a joy. And I felt that, watching the All For You tour. So on behalf of the fans, thank you so much. And did you have a message you would like to pass along to the fans?
Oh my goodness. You're the best. I mean, the fans are just, you're everything. And I feel like fans are what motivate and keep everybody going and really support the industry. It's like you find what you love and who you love and what type of style and all this. And then the support that they give to the industry, the artists, all of the people that are a part of these shows, it would be gone if no one's coming to see the show, if no one is, into it and giving it their love. So I would say thank you for the support and for personally, again, like you said, for embracing us, because I know we were new and there was a history and a legacy. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And last question for any dancer right now that's watching this and is coming up and has aspirations to to dance for Janet or to dance for, someone else that means as much to them as she means to us. What advice would you want to give them?
Okay, that's a hard one, but not so much. I think it's it really is being authentic. There's so much. And again, that's why I loved Janet and her team, because they saw past, like you didn't have to be a picture of something that we all might buy into or think that we're supposed to be in order to get A, B, or C, or to work for whoever. They basically were like, you're awesome, you're talented, we like your energy, we like this, whatever it was, you had a chance because you were being authentic. And I think that that is a big thing now. It's like, don't, there are, of course, we have to, I used to fight and struggle with like, oh my gosh, hair, makeup, your body, whatever. Well, that is a part of your job. Like, yes, it's just like knowing your math if you're an accountant, it's like you have to know your craft, you have to know all that. But instead of being upset about it, like embrace it and also just use it to your benefit to be exactly who you are and authentic, and to just go out there and show them who you are instead of not of what you think they want you to be.
Amazing. Laurie, thank you so much for spending time with us. It's honestly you've been on my hit list forever. So I'm super glad that we've managed to do this, and you are welcome back on my show anytime. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm so glad to meet you. I really appreciate it.
That is dancer and choreographer Laurie Sposit. Don't forget to check out the All For You tour. Of course, it's on YouTube, and you can watch all the magic all over again. Hey, it's Kelly. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching and listening to our interviews. We always appreciate your time. Please make sure to follow us on our YouTube channel, and also hit up our website so that you can subscribe to our newsletter so you are always up to date with everything that we have got going on with the show. KellyAlexanderShow.com/subscribe.